All right, 2309-2023, log number 2. So in my last log, I kind of spoke about what I've been doing this year, focusing on like, productivity, new techniques for kind of maximizing myself, seeing yourself as a star, like a fusion ball emitting energy and finding efficient ways to capture that as creativity. So I recommend watching that first. In this video, I'm just going to give an update on a couple of hibernating projects. So what's happening with blend.stream, the kind of democratized website that Joshua Kanaba and myself developed. Well, the idea that I've always said, and I've mentioned this in several videos, is that there are so many videos or short films to review that I wanted to do them in a good way where I could also give them attention. However, we come into like the ADD roadblock thing where the idea of watching the short films and making notes of them is like a mental bookmark. And subconsciously, I tell myself that requires time to invest into. So to be able to do a video, like a roundup video on the main channel where I give attention to the short films, I need to change my perspective on that and instead maybe find a time where I feel like for entertainment purposes I watch the videos so it doesn't feel like an investment of research time, and then I watch them and then maybe just do a couple of bullet points, then discuss them on a video. The thing is, getting to that point is quite difficult because as a hibernating project it kind of falls below a lot of other priorities in terms of like product development in other fields. I should probably get more people on board for voluntary reviewing, but then again I'll feel bad if I do suddenly start a series kind of giving more attention to these short films, but then the people that were reviewed just before that miss out on that opportunity, then I would feel bad because they wouldn't get attention on my main channel. So it's always a balance of these things. Do you want to dismissively review videos or do you want to give them something more special? And I always tend to fall on the side of I want to do something more special, but then again, that means people have to wait. So, complex decisions to be made. As for art challenges, I'm like 6 months behind reviewing the last art challenge on my Discord server. Because again, going back to the previous log, I've been putting a lot of things on hold while sorting out these like workflows. The same thing applies to blend.stream, where I wanted to do something where I would show the submissions for the art challenges on the main channel in some way. But the thing is, art review videos don't tend to do particularly well, and that's not something I should always care about. But I'm always trying to find a way to make things more effective or more entertaining or inspiring for people. So I've been putting off reviewing that artwork until I can find a good way to do those videos. But then again, we have the thing of if I just move on to another challenge and then I suddenly decide to do that, then the previous people that submitted have missed out on that opportunity. So it's the same thing as blend.stream again. You have like two hibernating things that are sitting with similar problems, where I'm in this weird purgatory because I want to do something more special for those people, but because I want to do that, those projects have stagnated. So if there's anyone wondering why that stuff has stopped, that's effectively why. It's not because I've abandoned them, it's because I want to do good things with them. That's why. But, because I'm just one person, I don't have a clone. I have to try and nudge myself slowly, like considering all the other factors of my life into making that possible. I know it's disappointing for people because I do occasionally get, messages from people saying, hey, I submitted this thing, but it hasn't been put on. Please, can you put it on? And yeah, well, it's just how it is. I have given a moderation guide to someone else, like to try and get another moderator on board, but they haven't responded, even though they said they'd be interested. So that's what happens as well. It's a problem with, saying, hey, other people will just do it for free, reviewing it. Yeah, they do until they don't. But, you're not paying them to do that. And that's another thing I was thinking about as well with like the physical stuff. Another avenue I thought about for the physical store to try and maybe encourage this to happen is that if I was incapable of reviewing films or getting myself to do it, I would do a funding round where I could make fun little things to raise money for blend.stream and then take that money and give it to moderators so that instead of them doing it just voluntarily, I'm actually paying them to do it so they don't feel like it's a waste of their time. So again, another avenue I need to look at, design something interesting for, then find a way to present that for the main channel in a way that's interesting. So lots of work to do. So while we're here, let's quickly talk about the speculative process. So something I've been doing more recently is pre-planning video ideas a little bit more, but kind of in like a noisy way. What I mean is sometimes I will make thumbnails for videos that don't exist now, just for fun, because in doing so, you kind of give yourself like self-inspiration, I suppose. You go, wow, that's a really nice looking thumbnail. I remember some YouTubers talking about this idea like it was a bad thing to do, like you're just focusing on what people want rather than making something valuable, but I don't always see it that way. I find that when I'm making thumbnails for videos that don't exist, that I might not ever make, it's somewhat inspiring because I look at it and I go, well, actually, I kind of want that to be on my channel. That's a cool looking idea. You think, well, I want that to be on my portfolio, but it doesn't actually exist. Like if it's some really wacko thing, simulating evolution in Blender, you got a cool thumbnail going for you. Like, actually, I kind of want that to be a thing. So I think there is some utility in speculative design speculative pre-production for certain types of projects. But it also means that you don't have to worry about presentation after the fact, because and I know a lot of other YouTubers sometimes do this, where we'll make a video, we'll get it ready to release, do all the editing and stuff, and then you want to put it out at a certain time. You're usually quite rushed to get to the time. I usually like to release on Mondays, but then because you're rushed, you just quickly put a thumbnail together. And the thing is, presentation makes a large difference on YouTube, a massive difference. You know, the best video ever, people won't watch it unless they already know that you make that kind of quality video, and the YouTube algorithms change, so things are getting recommended to the wrong types of people sometimes. It means that presentation is still important, for sure, for people that still want to grow. But if you preemptively design the presentation before the content's ready, then you don't have to worry about it after the fact. And again, kind of going back to like the creative ADD process, back in my creative burnout video, sometimes doing the monotonous stuff before the interesting stuff is a more effective method of creation. So that's speculative design. Now for Starfield. I've been playing a lot of Starfield recently, and I found it a bit inspiring in terms of, again, productivity, because a certain amount of the game is quite scientific and research-based, and, you know, modifying tools and stuff, and having your workbenches in your own spaceship, you know, to do cool stuff. And I like to visualize that as, hey, maybe this spaceship is my future studio, and maybe these workbenches are my different desks. And for some reason, it's also helped me with, like, responding to people. See, there are these little, like, mental tricks I can do where I'm still not great at emails, but I've been a bit better with it, which is important for the casual sponsor system. For some reason, in my subconscious, I always had like this kind of depressing idea about responding to emails. Like, it wasn't fun. There was something dark about it. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with the social anxiety or some like really distant trauma or something. I'm not sure. But I found that having Starfield running in the background, sitting down in my spaceship and pretending I'm responding to someone in that universe while I'm writing the email to someone in real life helped. It was like this kind of separation of personality where it suddenly became a bright thing instead of a dark thing. I don't know how to explain that. It was like just sitting there in this kind of bright environment in a virtual world helped make this separation. So in noticing that, I kind of became aware that there was something subconscious I needed to improve when it comes to communicating with people. Something about that also kind of made it more fun, if that makes sense. And I was wondering, wait, if I can find fun in responding to people while virtualizing my environment, then surely there must be a way to make that fun in real life. So that's something I've been thinking about. I don't have a complete answer to it yet, but I did also find it interesting that one thing I had noticed in the past is that I was more productive when having my programs in light mode than in dark mode. There's something about like friendliness or the energy or something like showroom-ish about light mode. Dark mode feels very much like, you know, emotional, dead of the night, edgy, you know, dark music kind of vibe. There's something I think beneficial about actually having the light mode on things that maybe just like, I don't know, tugs on something subconscious or innate. And the thing about Starfield is it's all very bright, like the science side of it, and colorful. So maybe there was something inspiring about that I haven't really like delved into yet. So what I'm imagining is literally maybe just a brighter work environment, something whiter and more vibrant might help with responding to people. Who knows? Bit of a theory. And maybe the last thing for this specific log. In a recent video about do you feel left behind with Blender, I spoke about my second policy for life. You don't know what you don't know. It's the ignorance policy, basically. It's a very important one. Understanding that you can't imagine everything you've ever done, which is why a lot of people feel kind of inadequate when they're using Blender because they can't remember all their experience. They're usually much better than they think they are. It's also important for dating. You know, you think, oh, I'll never find the perfect person. And then eventually you find someone that you fall in love with or develop a crush on, you know, all that kind of thing. You can't see someone until they exist, if that makes sense. It's outside of your perception frame. You don't know what kinds of people are walking past your house right now. You're not psychic. You might think you are, but it's an illusion. There's so much outside of your perception that you aren't aware of. I've been feeling a little bit of that kind of again in like the self-regard, where because my income is about halved this year, like I said in the last log, sometimes I catch myself thinking, oh, have I really done much this year? I could do a lot more. And then I look around and I think, at the beginning of the year, I was in my tiny bedroom back in southeast London, suppressed with migraines, and now I'm on the coast, in a rental. Sure, I haven't made many videos. I've got a shipping system set up, got a new sponsor system, we've done updates for products. My life is fundamentally different. But because, again, we're suffering from our limitations of human short-term memory, it's hard to feel all that change in one moment. So I know a lot of people suffer with self-sabotage, but that is something that I just made a little note of. I thought it was interesting, that I'm still, like, I can see that there's a lot different, a lot has changed, a lot has improved, but sometimes I feel like it hasn't. So it's a very common thing I know people, you know, deal with. That will end this log. If you made it to the end, put some kind of computer emoji in the comments so I can see who you are. Have a fantastic day, everyone, and I will see you next time.